Welcome to the Beanstalk. I'm the giant at the top. You can call me Bean, and today I wanted to make some future DLC predictions based on gear that got left behind in Remnant 1, as well as current gear concepts that need to be expanded. I have some great ideas in this one I'm excited to share with you, and I saved the best for last. But first I gotta say, thanks for all the love I got on my last video for the Indigo Witch. I sincerely appreciate it. A special thanks for everyone that subscribed because y'all are the real MVPs. And if you guys keep smashing that like button, I'll make the channel as thoughtful and creative as I possibly can. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. The Awakened King DLC offered new gear, new bosses, a new archetype, and new locations interwoven nearly seamlessly into a familiar backdrop. It was challenging, but also offered opportunities for us to feel more powerful than ever before. It was everything it needed to be. Unlike what some reviewers who spew shallow oceans of negativity for views without offering insightful or constructive commentary would have you believe. Nothing is perfect though, and along with some annoying bugs and frustrating fights, I also find myself distracted by how common the Sparkfire shotgun became in the build videos that crossed my feed. Sparkfire appears to have redefined the dot meta to an even greater extent than the Ritualist. In my own experience, it has become hard to justify using other long gun options when doing a status build. The utility factor is just too enticing, because unless I'm missing something, Sparkfire is the only gun in the game that can do 3 different types of dots in a single shot. Because of this, I feel like we need at least one more gun, either pistol or rifle, that does elemental damage with its primary fire and has an open mod slot. But that is an easy fix. Let's see if we can come up with something a little bit more creative. Some of you may have seen my older videos and noticed that I am a fan of the Ring of Omens. The hidden misstep dodge mechanic that it has when paired with one of 6 amulets is to date the only gear relationship requirement of its kind. And that creates an opportunity that gunfire should not pass up. What if there was an amulet that imbued basic weapons with elemental damage based on whatever status the player was suffering from? Now obviously that's something that a lot of players would want to have control over, which makes me believe that the Atonement Fold might be the first of its kind, because it inflicts the player with bleeding and boosts crit damage by 10%. I think this idea needs to be expanded for every element. For example, we could have a ring that inflicted the player with overload and boosted reload speed by 10%, and another one that inflicted the player with burn and increased fire rate by 10%. And what if, when your build paired one of these rings with the amulet I mentioned, there was a corresponding elemental explosion around the player when their health fell below a specific threshold? I think that would be dope. Especially if the Broken Heart Relic, which sets current health to 50% on use, could activate the effect. As it stands, I don't see a use for the Broken Heart Relic because the restriction cord accomplishes the same effect on a permanent basis, and it doesn't sacrifice DPS when you heal with traits or trinkets. If any of you have figured out a use for the Broken Heart Relic with gear currently in the game, please let me know in the comments. But even if the amulet idea doesn't happen, I definitely think the self-damage ring should. That will give more flexibility when building around the Neckbone Amulet, Alchemy Stone, and Tempest Conduit. Most importantly, it would allow us to spread more dots using the Ritualist, Relic, Perk, Purge. And I'd finally be able to get this Purge Search and build off the ground. We're almost done, but you know I couldn't leave you without at least one archetype prediction. If you played Remnant 1, then you know a ton of stuff was brought over into Remnant 2. Riftwalker was a mod that created a clone that taunted enemies and then exploded. The Good Boy mod summoned some kind of demon dog to attack enemies. These got incorporated into the Invader and Handler classes. A couple of notable omissions though. Frost and Radiation have not yet made an appearance, but they still might. However, I want to focus on a seldom used mod called Mantle of Thorns, which could increase damage reduction by 35% and reflect damage at 240%. I think there is potential for an entire archetype in this mod's concept, and it would add an interesting twist to melee builds. The Prime perk could revolve around damage reflection, and its damage perk could increase from 15 to 35% as health decreases. As for its trait, I really like the idea of it having a passive taunt, which would make it a perfect partner for ranged builds and co-op, and maybe even encourage friendly fire to boost damage bonuses. One of the skills could let you sacrifice health to make a big AoE explosion, much like the Graveborn from Wonderlands. I call it the Nemesis.
But hey, that's just a theory.
a Remnant 2 future DLC build theory. And if you have any suggestions for DLC possibilities, why not throw them down in the comments? If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so I can keep going and grow the channel. But that's going to do it for the video. Thank y'all so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Later, gamers.